So it says here, India is the second most populous country with over 1.3 billion people. So obviously, if you look at the passage, okay, I think it's about, I don't think it'll be more than 600 word count, okay, this passage. But as always, for a reading comprehension question, we always kind of analyze the questions first, right? What do? Step 1, for those of you who are new, right, how to approach reading comprehension. Step 1 is to analyze the questions, right? Yeah, skim the questions. What do we gain out of that? One, we're looking for keywords in the questions, where we don't really need to read the entire passage. We can just skim for those keywords from the questions, right? 2 is we want to maximize our chances of acquiring scores. So the easiest question to quickly finish without even getting to the passage is vocabulary based questions, synonym antonym questions. That's another reason why we analyze the questions first, right? And then when we have time, we can go and read the passage and figure it out, especially questions that require you to do a complete skim, which is what's the title of the story, what's the author's opinion, blah blah blah. Okay, now let's analyze the questions. First question, which of the following statements regarding investment is or are true in the context of the passage? So obviously our keyword here is investment, right? This is our keyword. So our keyword is investment, and this one is saying we're looking for positive detail. Okay, keep that in mind. And then we have a couple of questions which says, which of the following acted as a deterrent for investors at home and abroad? So obviously our keyword is investors, and then of course they're specifically mentioning at home and abroad. So this is something that we need to keep in mind. Answer, and it says answer in the context of the passage. Okay, why is the author so jubilant about India to grow rapidly? So I'm hoping everybody knows the meaning of jubilant, right? Which means what? Extremely excited, happy, right? Or very certain or sure of how India will grow rapidly, right? Again, very, very specific. So these are some of our keywords. We can scan for these keywords in the passage. Which of the following can be said about the author? Now this is a very skim question, which means I have to read the entire passage to have an idea about what the author is saying, right? Maybe one of the last questions that I will answer, because I may not have the time to read the entire passage, right? Which of the following is not true? So I have one question, negative detail. I'll keep this in mind. Again, something where I need to read the entire passage. Yeah. Why does the government of India want to nurture the economy? Okay. So again, some keywords, economy, nurture. We're talking about government of India specifically. We can look for it. What is the meaning of the phrase inter alia as used in the passage? Okay. So great. I have a highlighted word. I'm going to answer this. Even if I don't know the meaning, I'm going to look at the context. What is the meaning of the word roller coaster as used in the passage? Roller coaster, I know, right? Roller coaster ride is something, again, adventurous, exciting, all of that. But we also have to look at the meaning that the passage gives, right, about roller coaster. And then it says choose a word which is most opposite in meaning. So some antonyms, I have turmoil and I have creaky. Okay, so that's about it. So these are about 10 questions that I have. So I'm going to quickly, the easiest question that I can answer is this first antonym question, right? Because turmoil is not a very difficult word. What is turmoil? Some sort of a disturbance, causing some sort of a, confusion, whatever. And I'm looking for an antonym. So I'm going to quickly answer this question because this is the easiest for me. I want to gain 1 mark before even reading the passage. My options are disorder, confusion, turbulence, peace, and strife. Can you tell me for this question, what can be the answer? Because everything else, disorder, confusion, turbulence, and strife are synonyms. So this has to be the answer. I already got 1 mark without reading the passage. Creaky. Creak, I've heard the word creak, right? Like if I say something is creaking, which means, it's about to break, or it's making a noise where, a creaking noise. You've heard that as an adjective, right? Creaky also has another meaning, which means something that is old-fashioned. Now you may not know the other meanings of this word. So let's look at the context quickly where this word appears. Yeah. So I'm just going to go back right here. Let's read. It says, of course, they also feel that decisions and actions must move faster. But outsiders definitely recognize the limitations of a notoriously creaky implementation machine and of a noisy federal democracy, which means, again, limitations is your clue word, right? So limitations of something, and if I look at both these options, notoriously creaky implementation machine, noisy federal democracy, I know that creaky is bringing in a negative meaning for me. I may not even figure out, okay, what's the exact meaning of this, but another clue word is also machine. So if I'm saying something that is not functioning, something that is not working, right, has to be that. This machine that is implemented, whatever, and there could be many reasons for that, but I understand that creaky here is giving me a negative meaning because of the context. And if I go look at my options, right, I have antediluvian, new, oldie, worn, ancient, right? Anti, again, I know is a word kind of related to something that is not new, right? The first option A, do you know the meaning of that? We're talking about something extremely old-fashioned, right? And again, we're looking for antonyms. All my other options, oldie, worn, ancient, all of them give me the same meaning, which means what? What can be the antonym for this word? See how we're figuring out the meaning even though we may not know. Yeah, so obviously option is B, right? That's the antonym. So I have 2 marks secured without reading the passage. All we did here is, hey, I may not know the word creaky. I may not know the different meanings because I know in English one word has 2-3 different meanings, right? Even though I don't know, I can rely on the context because thankfully in reading comprehension passages, whatever questions are asked for synonym antonym, they are highlighted in bold, which means I only have to pay attention to that particular context where that word is in bold. We just did that now, right? We applied, we looked at it, we saw, okay, fine, you know what, it's a negative word, and we looked at some clue words in that context and we figured out, boss, this is what it is, right? Strife. Without even looking at the context, is that a new and unfamiliar word for you? It could be for a lot of people, right? Whenever somebody is in strife, which means they are undergoing some sort of a negative emotion, right? It could be some sort of a trouble. You can be in some sort of a conflict, yeah? Some sort of a difficulty, right? Strife is not a positive word, right? There could be strife in your neighborhood, right? There could be strife within your workplace, whatever, yeah? So that's strife for you. Now, so we've answered 2 things. Let's look at the synonyms as well, right? There are only 2 synonyms. What is the meaning of the phrase inter alia as used in the passage? What do you think is the meaning? Again, this might be a completely new and unfamiliar word. So can we just look at the passage where it appears? Where does it appear? There you go. It's right here. Let's read. For sure, things were not good in June 2014. Growth had slowed. The world was also slackening. India faced a wide range of governance issues which, inter alia, shook the faith of investors at home and abroad. So this context is talking about, hey, you know what? There were a lot of issues that India faced which, and then I have inter alia, shook the faith of investors at home and abroad. So if you are not familiar with this word, in the context also, you know, it's not very easy to figure out the meaning of this word. But this word basically means there were a lot of things that happened. That's the context before that word, right? India faced a wide range of governance issues, which, and then I have this word. Basically, this word means, hey, all those things happened, but among other things, right? Yeah. What happened was, shook the faith of investors at home and abroad. So apart from all of these things, there were other things also added to it which shook the faith of investors at home and abroad. So inter alia actually means among other things, and that's in our option. Go to your option. Where is it? Not with great force, not without any doubt, not at all, or interestingly, but among other things. Yeah? Okay? So, I mean, a word like this again, you either know it or you don't know it, because in a context, you may not be able to figure it out. You know why? Because it's definitely not an English origin word, right? I'm sure it's a completely different origin. I mean, look at the word itself. If somebody can quickly find out the origin of this word, yeah, I mean, if I take a wild guess, it has to be either Greek or Latin. It's definitely not English origin, right? So words like that, unfortunately, we either have to know the meaning or we don't know the meaning. Let's look at the next synonym. It says, what is the meaning of the word roller coaster as used in the passage? Again, I know what roller coaster is, but where is it in the passage? Let's look at the passage. Right here. Let's read. From the domestic viewpoint, it is important to recall that local businesses have literally been on an economic roller coaster since about 2012. Okay, I have my context. I have an idea. So some sort of a high. Economic roller coaster since about 2012. But then again, let's look at the following context. Okay, it says they are therefore tottering under multiple pressures of capacity and debt overhang, poor exports and increased competition from imports. So if I look at my options, it says occur in a dramatically changeable manner, break-even point, spirited, slow down, other than those given as options. So from my context, and I also need to rely on my following context, right? Because it's saying they are therefore, so because it was on an economic roller coaster, what is the result of that, right? Therefore is a very important hint word. And after that, everything that follows is negative. Tottering under multiple pressures of capacity, debt overhang, poor exports, increased competition from imports. So if I have to look at all of these changes that are happening as a result of the economic roller coaster, what will be my option from the given options A, B, C, D? Give me the answer for this. So they are therefore tottering under multiple pressures of capacity, which means they are not able to move forward in a manner that is positive, right? Tottering means somewhat unsteady, limited in the way it's functioning, right? It has to be that. And you can immediately relate it to a negative word because of the context, right? Even if you don't know the meaning, you're like, you can relate it to a negative word. Did somebody give me, most of you gave me A, right? Which is correct. Occur in a dramatically changeable manner. Yes, because roller coaster, if I put 2 and 2 together with what information I have in the context and the information that I already know about a roller coaster experience, which means it's a dramatic change, a shift from something that is normal, right? So it's not a break-even point, because obviously a break-even point is a good thing, a positive thing. Spirited is a good thing, positive thing. Slow down here may not really result in the effects that the next context is talking about, but a dramatically changeable manner, yes. So that's the closest option for the meaning of roller coaster in the passage. Okay. So we've got what? 4 marks already. We didn't even read the passage, right? Good. Now out of 10, 4. So that leaves us with 6 questions. What is the next question that we can quickly look at? I'm only going to look at keywords, right? Let's look at the first question. It says, which of the following statements regarding investment are true in the context of the passage? So we're gonna search for investment, okay? And one of the ways, another strategy that I keep saying is to identify keywords, right? The best thing to do is to just look at the topic sentence and the closing sentence of each paragraph. Yeah, the topic sentence and closing sentence of each paragraph. Meaning of roller coaster. See, like I said, a roller coaster, as defined as a word itself, it can mean 2 things. I am enjoying something, but when I go on a roller coaster ride, the experience is heightened, right? Which means there's an extreme change. So in terms of that, I can't relate it to a slowdown. It's never something that is, less energy. It's always something that's on a high. That's why the word dramatically, right, dramatically changeable manner relates to a roller coaster, because we're always talking about something on an extreme high, right? That's the difference, right? Imagine you being on a roller coaster ride. It's completely different from you just driving the car, right? Driving the car and being on a roller coaster ride is completely different. When you go to these, what do you call those? Game parks, theme parks, right? Yeah, so the difference is heightened. So it cannot be a slowdown, right? And we're talking about roller coaster in the meaning of roller coaster in the context. Yeah, we're not talking about what happened as a result of that economic roller coaster. A result of that economic roller coaster can be the slowdown, which the next context is talking about, right? Everything was like, it didn't go as expected. So the result of the roller coaster, economic roller coaster, can be a slowdown. Yeah, just to put it in context, the economic roller coaster, which was a heightened thing of change, because of that, the result was a slowdown. Okay. So yeah, we're looking at the first one. So like I said, going back to my strategy, I'm going to skim on the topic sentence, the closing sentence of each. Okay, let's see where investment is coming. India is second most populous country with over blah blah. The journey has challenges and growth is by no means guaranteed. For sure things were not good in June 20 blah blah blah. But at its core, investment remains an act of faith. I'm going to focus here because I have my keyword here. Okay, fourth paragraph, first line. There is something about investment there. Now let's look at my option. It says, which of the following statements regarding investment are true in the context of the passage? Three things are mentioned here. Only business attractiveness is not a sufficient condition for investment. Indian government has taken several steps to attract foreign investors. During the past few years, investment opportunities in India for NRIs and persons of Indian origin have been at an all-time high. Okay, so I'm going to read the context here. Okay, this paragraph, let's read. Business attractiveness is a necessary but not a sufficient condition for an investment destination. Systemic trust is critical for undertaking risk. Today, much comfort stems from government functioning with a greater sense of purpose. Never mind, even if the political environment forces it to keep articulating its balance between being pro-business and pro-poor, it is ultimately sound commerce that can provide livelihoods. Okay, not really giving me much of an information. So, I'm going to look for anywhere else, is addressed or is referring or is talking about investment or investors. Yeah, I know you're giving me answers, but we're trying to figure out the option from the question, right? So this whole thing, right, it says here, business attractiveness is a necessary but not sufficient condition for an investment destination. So I have an answer because this is addressed in my option A. Only business attractiveness is not a sufficient condition for investment. So I know this is true, pakka. Then it says Indian government has taken several steps to attract foreign investors. So which means I cannot look for only keywords in the question. I also have to look for keywords in the options. One of the keywords from my option B is foreign investors. So can I scan for that in the passage? Right? Where else do I see the word investors, investment? Anywhere. Look at this. It says the external viewpoint, whether of foreign governments, economists, investors and foreign investors doing business here is overwhelmingly positive, be it on growth, policy direction or stated political will to reform the economy and generate livelihoods, which means point B, which says Indian government has taken several steps to attract foreign investors, we know is also true because it says here, these guys, the foreign investors doing business here has been overwhelmingly positive. How could that have been possible if the Indian government had not taken several steps to attract them? Henna. Which means what is our answer option for this? What is our answer option for this? B is also true, right? We just saw that. But again, some of the keywords from point 3 is about investment opportunities in India, where NRIs, persons of Indian origin. So I don't see any of my other keywords, anywhere in the passage. So I'm going to go with option A. Now this is a risk that you will be taking, right? Yeah, this is a risk that you will be taking, because if you don't read the entire passage, somewhere they might have mentioned about investment opportunities for NRIs and persons of Indian origin, but when I did a quick scan, I didn't see any of these keywords mentioned there. So we are looking at only from the context of the passage what is supported, right? Since these guys are not mentioned, I will eliminate option C. But if you're saying, ma'am, I don't want to take that risk, right? I want to be sure, because every mark counts. I want to make sure I get this mark, which means you have to read the entire passage, right? Reading fluency. Your reading fluency should be like top speed, where you understand what you're reading. And then you can be sure that, okay boss, it has to be option A only. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, it's not a tricky one actually, Anand. It's not a tricky one at all, because option A and B is clearly supported from the passage. Option C, I don't have my keywords. I can't spot NRIs and persons of Indian origin at all. Right? Let's move on. Which of the following acted as a deterrent for investors at home and abroad? Answer in the context of the passage. Yes. Right? So it's right here in the third paragraph. It says here, for sure, things were not good in June. Leave that. The second line, India faced a wide range of governance issues which, among other things, shook the faith of investors at home and abroad. There you go. My clue word from the question, right? My key word from the question is right there. So what are my options? My options are a wide range of government issues, poor infrastructure and unskilled workforce, new foreign black money law with stringent punishments, the promise made by the PM for a corruption-free India, all of the above. What can it be? What do you think the answer is? I'm gonna show the context again. You tell me. There is a direct reference from that context, right? For you to choose the option. What will it be? Right, it's right there. It says India faced a wide range of governance issues which shook the faith of investors at home and abroad. So our answer is option A, right? Nowhere, somebody said option B. Where does it talk about unskilled workforce and poor infrastructure? There might be implications of that. But here is very clearly saying answer in the context of the passage, and the context gives us or has our clue words very clearly. है ना? So you can be sure option A is the answer, right? Yeah. Let's look at the other question. It just means among other things. So I can use it in any context. So I can say TalentSprint provides inter alia mock tests, subject tests, full length tests and AIMs, right? So I'm saying TalentSprint provides certain things, right? So the inter alia, meaning among other things, it provides all the tests that followed, right? So you can use it in a context which brings in the meaning of among other things, right? So this foreign trip entails inter alia, among other things, this, and a list follows after inter alia, right? So the foreign trip entails inter alia, maybe a visit to the exhibition, right? So among other things, the foreign trip entails a visit to the exhibition. Yeah, just giving you random examples so you'll understand where to use it. Matlab, you can use it anywhere which brings in that meaning. Why is the author so jubilant about India to grow rapidly? So what is our clue phrase again from here? We already saw the meaning of the word jubilant, right? Excited, happy, certain. India to grow rapidly. So let's figure out in terms of growth, right? Where is it talking about? Rapid growth. Look at the first paragraph, last line. Read. Powered by the intellect, energy and creativity of a young nation, India is certainly poised to grow rapidly. Again, my clue phrase is there in the last line of the first paragraph, right? Pay attention to that entire line. Powered by the intellect, energy and creativity of a young nation, India is certainly poised to grow rapidly. So having looked at this, let's go back to our options and see which is the right option. Which is what? Because India has large youth population, Because many countries have agreed to invest huge amounts in India because there is no dearth of intellect, energy and creativity in India. What is our answer for this question? Why is the author so jubilant about India to grow rapidly? What do you think is the answer? Because India has large youth population and because there is no dearth of intellect, energy and creativity in India. What do you guys think? I'm going to show the context again, okay? Which is correct, no? Because young nation matlab what? It's referring to the youth only. And before the context, before that also if you see, it says more than 50% of people are below the age of 25 and in 2022, the average age will be below 30. Powered by the intellect, energy and creativity of who? The youth, the young people. India is certainly poised to grow rapidly, which means I have to factor in that India has a large youth population. That entire paragraph is talking about that. So it has to be option A and C because intellect, energy and creativity are also mentioned there. Powered by intellect, energy and creativity. All our keywords are there. Right? So I cannot rule out option C. Right? No dearth means because there is no dearth of intellect, energy and creativity in India, the author is jubilant about India to grow rapidly. So what can be the meaning of the word dearth? So we have arrived that E is the answer option. Which of the following is not true in the context of the given passage? This also I have to read the entire passage. Why does the government of India want to nurture the economy? Okay, so I have some keywords, right? We're specifically talking about government of India nurturing the economy. Okay, let's look at it. So there are 3 more questions left. I am not looking at 2 questions because it requires me to read the entire passage, which is the negative detail question and what can be said about the author. So I'm jumping to this question. Why does the government of India want to nurture the economy? So I'm going to look for these clue phrases, right? Broadly speaking, because I found this, nurturing the economy, right? Broadly speaking, one perceives the pursuit of a 3-pronged strategy of nurturing the economy, enhancing India's global profile and standing, and attempting to improve daily lives of citizens. Super. There you go, right? So, what did I do? Where is it? What are my options? To build a positive perception in the eyes of the world, to enhance India's global profile and standing, to improve daily lives of citizens. It has to be all 3, no? Henna? All A, B, C, which one is it? D. That's it. I have all of that answered. Yes, are you with me? What do you say, guys? It has to be all A, B, C, right? That's what the context is. The context very clearly says that. That's it. That's my answer. So look at this, okay? Let's consider what we've done right here. 10 questions reading comprehension. 4 vocabulary questions I got without reading the passage. I also got in addition 4 more questions without reading the passage by only focusing on the topic sentence, closing sentence and scanning for these keywords from the questions, right? Which means I'm still saving time. But because leave out all our explanations and searching for it and all, but if you follow these strategies itself, A as well, A kind of summarizes the whole thing, right? If look at B and C are positive in meaning, right? Enhance India's global profile and standing, improve daily lives of citizens. When we do this, obviously, it is going to build a positive perception in the eyes of the world. It's like A is summarizing B and C, right? And that's the only reason why the government would want to nurture the economy, right? So what I'm trying to say is, if I can get into the habit, right? If I can make it up. Now this will come only with practice, right? In terms of speed in the exam, if I have to save time and if I have to move away from this mindset that reading comprehension is time consuming, I need to practice these strategies on a regular basis for me to get so good at it that I'm quick to spot keywords from the questions. I'm quick to scan these keywords in the passage, right? So this will come only with practice. I know the strategy, I'm aware of it, but I need to practice it to master it, right? And that's when I'm ready for a competitive exam. So what I would urge you guys to do is, if reading comprehension is a problematic area for you, if you're somebody who skips reading comprehension altogether, you have to practice these strategies. Step 1, vocabulary questions. I don't know the meaning, go to the context, read the context, look for clue words, figure out the meaning, get the answer. Step 2. Apart from positive, negative detail and title of the passage, all of those questions which require you to read the entire passage, complete other questions where I only have to look for keywords from the questions, scan for those keywords, read the context around it, and I will get some more points. Chalo, ho gaya. Right? Even if I allot 5 minutes, 6 minutes in the exam for reading comprehension, I will still be able to get at least a minimum of 5 marks, if not all 10 marks. Why lose out on those 5 marks? Because every mark counts, right? People miss out on point percentage, whether it's your prelims or mains. You don't want that happening to you. So this is what you need to do. RC is not so easy if vocabulary is not good. See, that's why we are applying context clues. I don't know the meaning of, turmoil, for example. Some of you didn't know, right? I don't know the meaning, but I will look at the context and figure it out. But how can I reduce time? I need to be quick to spot clues in the context. Now that's a strategy, right? In one of our tips and tricks segment, I've shared context, identifying clues in the context as a strategy. That is a skill. A skill is something that you're good at. How can you get good at it? You have to practice it. That's when you'll get good at it, right? So basically, one of the questions is, what does the author think, right? What does it say? Which of the following can be said about the author? Options: the author is a social scientist. The author is apprehensive about the growth of India's economy. The author is confident about the growth of India's economy. The author is a well-known economist. Okay, see, having even looked at the topic sentence, closing sentence, answering all of these questions, I have an idea. I can rule out option A and D because the passage is actually not talking about the author. It is addressing a concern, right? It's talking about India's growth, it's talking about economy, it's talking about youth, it's talking about some challenges that we are facing. So I have an idea. By the time I've completed all these questions, just paying attention to the topic sentence and closing sentence, I have an idea. I can rule out option A and D. I have to choose between B and C. If I look at B and C, right, I was just saying the passage is not highlighting about the author, right? It's highlighting an issue that India is facing. For the most part, so two things. It either says the author is apprehensive or the author is confident. Now, if I look at my passage also, right, if I focus on the first paragraph, second paragraph, again, I'm just going to look at topic sentence, closing sentence, right? The first one, he says, hey boss, it's going to be predominantly youth. If we channel and direct them, then there is a possibility for growth. However, in the second paragraph, he immediately says, the journey has challenges and growth is by no means guaranteed. And then he says, but boss, if we work hard, blah, blah, blah. But for the rest of it, everything else, right? All of the other paragraphs also, if you look at it, see for example, another topic sentence, energizing an economy that had been slowing for over 2 years was a Herculean task. Only some actions yield quantifiable outcomes. Others can build positive perceptions when all actions are relentlessly pursued and executed. And then even if you look at the last two paragraphs, right, external viewpoint, domestic viewpoint as a culmination, right, summarizing the entire passage, if you look at it, both of them are giving us negative. Because it says, of course, they also feel that decisions and actions must move faster, but outsiders definitely feel, this is the external viewpoint, recognize the limitations of a notoriously creaky implementation machine and of a noisy federal democracy. Again, in the last paragraph, it says, again, it's something about negative, right? Because of the economic roller coaster, tottering, remember, struggling, unsteady, under multiple pressures of capacity and debt. So the entire context is very negative, culmination. So what can we say about what the author is saying? We can say that this boy is apprehensive about the growth of India's economy, right? What is the meaning of apprehensive? Anybody? Kind of worried, right? Not sure where this is going to go, what's going to happen. I'm apprehensive about SBI PO exam. I don't know, I've applied. Yeah, you can be apprehensive about it, right? So that's what the author is feeling, and the entire paragraph, most of my topic sentence, closing sentence, he says, hey, I'm jubilant about India growing rapidly, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done, right? We have to channelize the youth, we have to power them, we have to steer them, but for the most part, it looks gloomy. The external viewpoint and the domestic viewpoint both are giving me a negative view. So, apprehensive, not confident. He's not confident. Okay? Option B. What's the last one? Which of the following is not true in the context of the given passage? Now, again, I wouldn't want you to, completely eliminate this question just because I said, you have to read the entire passage to answer a question like that. You can also look at the options. Look at the options for this question. It says, option A, in 2014, the world economic growth was slackening. Again, you can also go backwards, right? Look at keywords from the options. There's a date, there's a year mentioned. I can look for that. India is projected to be the most populous country by 2050. Again, there's a year mentioned. I can scan for that. According to the author, sustainable growth is achievable through concerted efforts. I actually saw this somewhere in my topic sentence or closing sentence, or maybe the sentence just next to that or following that. I'm going to look for that. The rural economy has weakened over the years. Okay. We are looking at negative detail. What does the author not say? What does the passage does not support? So, just to rule out a couple of options, if I look at my, where is 2014? It says here, for sure things were not good in June 2014. So, in 2014 the world economic growth was slackening. That is true, right? Yeah, so this is true. Can't be option A. India is projected to be the most populous country by 2050. I again saw 2050 right here in the first paragraph, right? But what does it say? It says, we are projected to be the most populous nation by 2022. And the population is expected to reach 1.6 billion by 2050, which means ideally it should be 2022 and not 2050. So that is false, right? This should be our answer basically, but let's look at the remaining two options. According to the author, sustainable growth is achievable through concerted efforts. Yes, I saw that. Where is that concerted efforts? The keyword. I saw that somewhere. There you go. See, second paragraph, after the first sentence, topic sentence, it says, but with concerted efforts, I believe, blah, 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 blah. Which means that is also supported by the passage. Right? So this is true, out. And the last one, the rural economy has weakened over the years. I don't think the passage addresses this at all. Because I didn't see rural economy anywhere as a keyword. Which means the passage doesn't even talk about this. Yeah, you tell me if you have been able to spot rural economy anywhere, because I didn't. So I would safely say, even if it's there or not, I can safely say that option B is not true in the context. Right? And I don't have like only A and B, B and C like that. So I can just close my eyes and select option B as the answer. That is the one that is not true in the context of the given passage. That's it.